Let's talk about tipping. You probably think of it as a nice thing to do, right? A little something extra for good service. But what if I told you its history? Well, it's anything but generous.
Just think about the last time you were at a restaurant and left a tip. Did you know that the federal minimum wage for that server is basically stuck in the past?
It's $2.13 an hour. No, that's not a typo. And what's really wild is that this isn't some accident. It was designed this way on purpose. So, to really get why that number is so shockingly low, we have to jump way back in time. I'm talking right after the Civil War.
It all kicks off in 1865 with the abolition of slavery. But the story gets really interesting in 1938. That's when the U.S. created its first federal minimum wage. And guess who got left out? Yep, the very same workers.
See, after the Civil War, millions of newly freed black people needed jobs, but a lot of businesses, especially in the restaurant and railroad industries, didn't want to pay them a real wage. So they came up with let's call it a workaround, a system where they could get labor basically for free.
And their solution was pretty simple, and honestly, pretty brutal. They just said, hey, let the customers pay them. Just like that. So a worker's ability to, eat or pay rent was left completely up to the whim and the biases of total strangers. And this is the part we really need to understand. This was never about rewarding great service. It was a tool, a way to keep this new workforce of formerly enslaved people poor and dependent.
And just like that, American tipping culture was born. It was a system that took pure exploitation and dressed it up to look like customer generosity. Fast forward to 1938, and that Fair Labor Standards Act we mentioned, well, it made all of this official. It created the minimum wage, but carved out a huge exception for restaurant workers, who, at the time, were still mostly black. The system was locked in.
Okay, so that's the history. But what's truly mind-boggling is how this past is still the present. It directly affects servers right now, today.
Think about it like this. Tipping basically shifts the boss's most important job, paying their employees, onto you, the customer. It literally means that whether your server can make rent could come down to what kind of mood you're in.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This number. After all that history, all those decades, the federal minimum wage for tipped workers is still stuck right here, $2.13 an hour.
So when you really pull back the curtain and look at where it came from, it's impossible to ignore. Tipping in America was never really about kindness. It's a straight line, a direct legacy of a system built on exploitation.
So, knowing all this, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is it finally time to end it?